a bad time.
What the heck's going on?
Ma, Mr. Doback, we think it would be very prudent.
Can we turn our beds into bunk beds?
Yes.
Why are you guys so sweaty?
What is going on? Welcome into the Just the Ranks podcast, brought to you by the Double FU, the FU times 2, the fantasy football universe. I am Jeremy Shulman / Hollywood Jack today because I am on vacation, but we have a very special guest right here who we'll get to in just a second. But before we do, just a little bit of business for you. First of all, dropped in the show chat is our Discord link. We just started that a couple of weeks ago, so please feel free to join us over there. Just a couple of guys talking ball, myself, Jesse Moeller, SC Romero, Dynasty Dog Mike. We're all in there, and Rich talking ball, so we'd love you to join our community. And of course, you see Andrew Erickson is here with us today. This is our final rookie mock before the NFL draft, and then we are going to immediately after the draft have the entire FFU team on to discuss the implications of what happens this weekend. But that's all the crap. Let's get to the goods here. Andrew Erickson, thank you for joining us so much. How you doing today, man?
I'm doing great, man. Draft week is finally here. We've been in the bunker for the last couple months. I'm from the New England area, so we've gotten a lot of snow, but finally have come out like the groundhog, end of April, and we're ready to go for this NFL draft on Thursday night. Patriots are back. I'm a Patriots fan, so we're back in the top 5. Not going quarterback, but unfortunately, because Joe Milton is so good, they're not going to get a top 5 talent. So that really sucks, especially because I was at that game, froze my butt off seeing Joe Milton, and all they got was a 5th round pick this year. Sick Elliott Wolf. Great. Hungry like the wolf, baby. Let's go.
I love it. Look, I'm a Pats fan too, but originally from New York. So I lived a difficult life until the life was easy growing up when the Pats were great. But I became a Pats fan because of Pete Carroll and how the team did him dirty. And then, of course, Drew Bledsoe going off. So that was a long time ago, aging myself probably. But that's the case. Gotta love it. And look,
you did have those 6 starter jackets, though. Those were sick.
I did. Listen, I got the first new logo starter jacket. It was legit.
Fire.
I loved every minute of that. Every minute of it. All right. So just to remind you what we're doing today, we're doing a Superflex Tight End Premium 4-round rookie mock draft. Here with Andrew, we got people ready to go. But before we get into this, of course, Andrew, we have to spin the wheel because why not? We like to have fun here at Adjust the Ranks. The idea is, of course, we want to talk about these prospects in a vacuum, but the vacuum doesn't exist when we're actually drafting. Certainly we have our dynasty teams. We have to at least consider it. So I don't think this is going to drastically change our strategies here. But for example, if we're picking between QB3 and maybe RB3 at the back end of the first round, it maybe becomes a consideration whether we're position needy or in win now. So we can just talk through those things as we go through the draft. So a more important question here, Andrew, do you want to spin first or do you want to defer?
I want to spin first. I want to be on the aggressive side of things.
I love it. I love it. Let's do it. Let's see what happens. And here we go. Right. So we'll wait for the confetti. There we go. Nothing but the best graphics here with the confetti. Pickerwheel.com, not a sponsor. Maybe they should be. Let's sort that out later. Pickerwheel.com, if you're watching, call me up. But you're going to be position needy here, Andrew. So we're going to spin this wheel, and it's going to tell us what position. And again, I think we're just going to use this as a guide throughout the draft. But needy at tight end in a tight end premium league. That probably gives us, as we're interrupted by the wonderful music again, that gives us kind of some interesting thoughts. Now, what are you thinking in terms of the tight end position? Do you want to aggressively go after those first 2 top guys? Or are you happier to wait in the 3rd or 4th round and take the falling value of your tight end 3 or tight end 4?
I think because, even in a tight end premium, I was definitely thinking about it, kind of doing my notes beforehand. Okay, I definitely want to try to leave this 4-round draft with at least 1 tight end, probably on the late side of things. But the fact that I am I am tight end needy and I need instant production. Well, I know there are 2 guys that could potentially do that for me and potentially be tight end 1s in Dynasty for the long run. So now does that tweak where I may rank them, and we don't know where the landing spots are. But hey, if one of these tight ends ends up in a ideal landing spot, well, he could be a top 3 pick in tight end premium formats in Dynasty. So if anything, it just, hey, I believe I'm picking at 3. I'm not going to tight end off the board there where I maybe wasn't originally thinking that.
Sure. Awesome. I love that. Yeah. And certainly we know about the well-documented depth at the running back position, but the tight end position is also very deep. So it's interesting to consider after those top 2 in Warren and Loveland are off the board, what's going to happen. And draft capital is going to kind of influence this a lot as well. We'll see if anyone goes round 2 from the tight end position. We'll see how high some of these guys are pushed up because NFL teams are really needy at that position as well. So we will see. I will spin the wheel here and see what I'm going to do from my perspective. And it's looking like a full rebuild. I am picking from the 112. So I am in a terrible situation where I'm in a full rebuild with nothing to rebuild around in terms of top picks, but that's okay. We will sort it out. Andrew, just really quickly at the 103, as we get ready to fire this thing up, what are you thinking in terms of who you hope falls to you there, and how comfortable you are picking, you mentioned the tight end, but also picking maybe a top wide receiver, because certainly we know that Genty is likely the 101, but then from the 102 to 107, we have this group of guys who really any of them could go depending on your love of Amari and Hampton. If you want Cam Ward and the Superflex, you want to lock him in if you're feeling Ted. So what are you looking for at the 103 typically?
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking that I could probably have my pick of Warren or Loveland. I wouldn't expect either of them to go at the 102. I mean, maybe in the tight end premium, I'm not reading the room, but that should mean at least one of them is going to fall. So it may just be, hey, I'll just take the highest of the 2 top tight ends, whoever falls, because like you said, yes, very talented running back class. Genty's going to go first. I'm not a quarterback needy team here, so I'm okay with, missing out on Cam Ward. I get that he's going to be the 101 and he's currency. It's super flex. I don't think he's not a bad pick in any way, shape, or form, but I don't feel the need I got to draft Cam Ward when I see a lot of other prospects here that I could use on my roster, especially with it being tight end premium, me needing a tight end. I'm thinking about my theoretical team and I'm looking at my roster. I'm like, man, am I rolling out Austin Hooper again? What's going on? That's how I feel this roster is. When you're saying tight end needed, man, I started Austin Hooper last year because I had to.
I hear you, man. And we've seen Tyler Warren mocked by some pundits in the top 10 as well of the real NFL draft. So if that actually happens, I mean, Warren at the 103 won't sound crazy a week from now, even though we're typically taking him at the 105, 106. So we're going to have to see how it all shakes out. But these guys, I think, are ready to roll. So let's get our draft underway here. We'll add it to the stage. All right. And we'll start it up here. So let's see who goes first. I think we're going to see Ashton Genty. We've seen it every single mock. Andrew, we've done 10 of these. Every single time it's Ashton Genty. Do you have any other notes for Genty other than what we already know? Completely dominant player, top 10 NFL draft pick.
I just would not be surprised if he doesn't go to the Raiders. I know that's kind of where it's been the locked and loaded pick for the past 3 months in mock drafts. I don't think he's going to be there. I think that if he's there, I think he's going to go to Jacksonville. And I just think that they're going to get a player that may be in the Hall of Fame if it's not for injuries. So, and it's going to be annoying probably this year with Bigsby and ETN just in a weird committee, but just it'll be a month and then eventually he'll get unlocked and then we'll be good to go.
I love that. We don't need him. We probably don't want him because of our other needs, but Pat's at 4. Is Genty possible there?
I just don't want to ruin him, I guess. It's that's a concern. Look, it's one of these things where it's am I happy they drafted him? No. Am I going to buy an Ashton Genty jersey? Yes. That's the scenario that I kind of feel about it. But I would rather him go somewhere where he can thrive. And just based on the offensive line, I get that he's great at forcing missed tackles. And I think Drake May can really be a superstar. It's still Josh McDaniels. When we saw what Liam Cohen did last year with Bucky Irving, that offense in Jacksonville could just be so good for Ashton Genty. And then ETN's going to be gone after this year anyway. Tank Bigsby's a good backup. It just, I would just much rather see him in Jack. He's in Florida. There's no sales tax. Like, dude, like, come on, man. It's the perfect spot.
I love it. I'm going to give you a few extra seconds here on the clock to make your selection. When I unpause it, you have about 10 seconds. But we saw Ashton Genty go off the board. Cam Ward at the 102. Mr. Erickson, you are up. Let's resume it. And who are you taking here at the 103?
Yeah, so I'm going to take a tight end, as we kind of like talked about previously, but I'm not going to go with Tyler Warren. I'm going to go with Colston Loveland. He's my tight end 1 in this class. I like his game a little bit more like stylistically than Tyler Warren. I get that Warren is going to make monster after the catch. Like he's gotten like he could be Gronk. I don't think he's Gronk. I don't agree with that comparison. But to me, I looked at Colston Loveland and I thought, okay, Zach Ertz, but maybe he can break a tackle. Like maybe he'll break a tackle in his NFL career. He's only 20. So I think that he has not even hit his ceiling whatsoever. I mean, Tyler Warren's 3 years older than Colston Loveland, or he's significantly older than him. Again, he didn't break out till his final year at Penn State. He was behind some other NFL guys, but Colston Loveland has been producing since he stepped down in Ann Arbor. So I like Loveland a lot, playing the long-term game here. I feel he can be productive as a rookie, and the NFL's really high on him. I mean, you look at Daniel Jeremiah's top 50, like they're back-to-back, 6 and 7 overall players ranked. And I know Peter Schrager released a report as he's kind of doing his work on the NFL draft, and 2 players he mentioned that are going to go much higher than most people expect: Mikael Williams from Georgia, and Colston Loveland. And as a holder of many Colston Loveland to be the first tight end bets, I hope that he goes to a great. I mean, if he goes to the Jets, then that sucks. So that I don't love that. But I mean, if one of these, if he goes to the Chargers, man, with Harbaugh. I don't even care if Warren gets drafted first. Like that is such a smash landing spot, and he would. I think that consensus would probably move Loveland ahead of Warren in that case, regardless of unless Warren gets another landing spot. But I mean, the Colts again seems like it makes a lot of sense. Like, oh yeah, the Colts need a tight end. It's like no, like you don't want one of these tight ends to go there. Like that is not a good landing spot.
It's been a tight end wasteland for years. They have like 7 on the roster still. I don't know what the hell they're doing at tight end over there in Indy. But, Jim Irsay loves him some cocaine and loves him some tight ends, apparently. So, but we're looking at the draft here. We're at the 109. We got Genty, Ward, Loveland, Hampton, Hunter, Tet McMillan, T-Mac, Trey Henderson, love the pick there at the 107, and Tyler Warren at the 108. I agree with you on Loveland. I mean, quarterback issues aside, even J.J. McCarthy, when he was there, wasn't the quintessential big-armed, amazing quarterback, but he seemed to unlock Loveland a little bit. Last year was a bit of a struggle for him. So, I too thought, I think they're at 21 Chargers. I thought that the landing spot there with the Chargers would be great. I just don't know if he's going to be there that long. As you referenced, he may go even a lot earlier than we expect. So I'm up here at the 112, and Luther Burden is there for me. I do enjoy Luther Burden, especially in a full rebuild. But we got Shadur Sanders. We have Jackson Dartwin at the 109. I absolutely love that pick, so we're going to have to talk about that as well. And I'm a big Judkins fan, but I think the tie, it's really tough because Burden is a little incomplete for me. I don't know what to expect. We also have Matthew Golden here. I'm going to bite the bullet and go running back, even though I think the tiebreaker should go to wide receiver. I just think Quinshon Judkins is a lot better than some people are giving him credit for. He doesn't look as explosive on tape as Trey Henderson, but he looked great at the combine. And I just think some NFL team is going to give him all the carries that he can handle.
I think Quinshon Judkins is like 33rd to the Browns. Like, that. It just seems like such a sweet landing spot for him. A lot of comparisons to Nick Chubb. They do exactly what they did when they drafted Nick Chubb. I think he got drafted 33rd or 34th overall, top of the second round. So, yeah, Judkins to me is a monster spot. But the fact that Shadur Sanders is still falling here, Superflex, isn't this just the classic case of, hey, there's always this one quarterback that always falls in Superflex that everybody hates, and it always ends up being like supreme value. So I'm actually surprised that you didn't go Sanders. Just the fact you're in a full rebuild. Is he going to lose value over next year? He's a quarterback, right? So I think that from a value perspective, you couldn't go wrong with going Sanders, but I'm not going to dissuade you from a prospect like Quinshon Judkins, who I really like as a running back.
No, that's a really fair point. I think I got thrown off with Jackson Dart going so early at the 109, but Sanders, look, I think he's probably the biggest wild card in the NFL draft. We don't know if he's going to go top 5, top 10, or if he's going to completely fall out of the first round. The reports are all over the place. I think he should be a first round lock. But if you're getting him here, like you said, at the 203, that value is absolutely ridiculous, especially with these wide receivers who have a couple of question marks and we're not sure how they're going to fit into the NFL scheme and on depending on which team they're drafted. Let's start here before we get into Sanders. Andrew, in the first round, who are you looking at in terms of a value other than some of the guys we talked about? You have Egbuka and Caleb Johnson at the end of the draft there. You got Dart at the 109, you got Warren at the 108, or Trey, any of these guys. Who do you like here in round 1 in terms of their value?
I think Egbuka is a really good value. I think that maybe we've gone too far, and this is the royal we aware. This guy's got really high floor, but doesn't have the ceiling. And I just think about, I know 100% I said that about Amon-Ra St. Brown. It's like, oh man, this guy's like master of none, jack of all trades or whatever that cliche is. And I mean, does anyone view Amon-Ra St. Brown as the best wide receiver in the NFL? No, I don't think that he's viewed in that light, but he still gets like 100 catches, 1,200 yards. He scores 8+ touchdowns because he's a really good wide receiver and he plays the slot. And it's like, is anyone going to be surprised if Egbuka could do something very similar to what he's doing? So that's to me where I don't want to get so confident that, this guy doesn't have a ceiling when he's never played in the NFL. And he's never also played in an offense where he wasn't the best receiver. So you can look at that in a couple of different ways. And imagine if one of those guys just wasn't there one of those seasons. I mean, we saw, I think, a glimpse of it. It was his sophomore year with Stroud when Smith-Njigba got hurt. And what happened? The dude was a freaking monster producing from the slot. So
for sure,
I'm trying to be more open to the idea that, hey, like hitting a double with maybe, hey, this guy could hit an occasional home run. Like I'm opening up more to that idea. So I like it was a Moneyball NO that picked Egbuka. I think that was a really good pick. And he's someone that I'm trying to get in the late, if I have a late first round pick, that's someone I'm looking at for wide receivers.
Yeah, I love that point. And of course, like you mentioned, surrounded by generational talents at wide receiver pretty much his entire career, and subpar quarterback play. Like Stroud was good. But other than that, Ohio State isn't really known for their quarterback play. So Egbuka, he could be a supreme value. He could end up the wide receiver 1 in this class, unless Travis Hunter plays wide receiver full time. But it is interesting for sure. And I do like that value. I know a few guys in the chat love that value as well. Before I recap what's going on here in the second round, why don't you talk to us a little bit about Shedeur Sanders and maybe even Jalen Milroe, who went off the board. Quarterback value in the Superflex rookie draft, especially in the second round, if they hit. Like you mentioned earlier, there's no better value in these drafts.
Yeah, I think it's just it's a value game, right? You may not like the prospect. I know I got Michael Penix in the second round, a couple Superflex drafts last year. Like he played 3 games. It wasn't even about him. It was just because Kirk Cousins sucks so bad. So he got his value boosted. Now he's a first round value. Going in top 4 rounds of dynasty startup drafts. Michael Penix, right? So, I mean, I think that you could just blindly draft quarterbacks in the second round that have any type of first round buzz. Now, Sanders falling to 203. Again, just way too good to pass up. I mean, I took him one spot ahead of Cam Scatabo, who could be drafted on day 3. Day 3 running back versus a quarterback that still could go top 3, could still go 3rd overall to the New York Giants. They went back to back. Like, I cannot pass on that value. So, whether you like Sanders as a prospect or you don't, it's really a love or hate with, I think, not just his evaluation, but NFL teams. There's no he's okay. Like everyone's like, this guy is amazing. This guy sucks. Like no part of him can't be drafted. He's a diva. So I'm willing to fall on the, fall on the falling knife. Whatever the
sword, fall on the sword.
Fall on the sword for Shedeur Sanders, especially if he goes to 203. So really just a value proposition there. And then with Jalen Milroe, 208, I think that's a good value for him too.
Yeah.
Like when you talk about players in this draft from these quarterback class that have elite traits, Jalen Milroe with his legs, that's one of the most elite traits, I think, when you look at every single quarterback in this class. And what do we know about fantasy football? Like Jalen Milroe is going to score points when he gets thrown in there week 14, 15, 16 for the Cleveland Browns or whatever team that he ends up going on, and he's going to run around and make plays. So I think that's another player that when we're talking about him next year, he's just someone that's going to accrue value. He went to Alabama. If he gets drafted in round 2, like that's pretty strong draft capital. And he could start one game. Anthony Richardson started like 2.5 games and ended up being valued as like a top 5 dynasty asset. Jalen Milroe just starts a couple games at the end of the year for whatever team drafts him, runs around a lot, and then bang, you've already, made your return on your investment. So yeah, I really like that pick too.
Hard to argue with you there. I'll resume the draft in a minute for you, Andrew. You got about 20 seconds, so have a quick look, and then I'll click it for you. As I go through the second round, we have Matthew Golden at the 201, Burden at the 202, Shador, who we've just been talking about, the 203. We got Cam Scatterbo, Jaden Higgins, Trey Harris, Jalen Royals, Alec Eomanor, Milroe, R.J. Harvey, Mr. Bowling Ball himself, absolute stud at the 210, Jalen Noel, who is your boy as well. I saw you, talking about people. It's either people who love Jalen Noel or people who are lying. Goes at the 211, and then Devin Neal for myself at the 212. Just quickly, I know I'm in a full rebuild, but the value of running backs here with Judkins and Neal, if those guys start right away, I can sell them off. I think it's better for me than whoever my tight end 3 happens to be. Right now it's Arroyo, but I can't argue with Fannin. And you see how the board played out. All of these wide receivers in the second round are great values, but they didn't make it to me. In the third round, we have Damian Martinez, Harold Fannin, and Andrew. I will zoom the draft for you, and we'll see who you pick with the 303.
Yep. So I'm going to go with Elijah Arroyo. So again, going back to my team is tight end needy. So although I addressed the need with Loveland, well, I still like this pocket of the draft here with another prospect. So Arroyo, again, not nearly as coveted as Loveland. Definitely more of a, flavor type of tight end. Can make plays downfield as a vertical threat. Dealt with some injuries last year or throughout his college career. So am I expecting him to necessarily be a superstar? Not necessarily, no. But I know he did look impressive at the Senior Bowl from, Mike Mayer, Derek Brown over at Fantasy Pros when they were there. That was someone that they highlighted that looked really good. We'll see what the draft capital looks like. I think that going around that Harold Fannin range is appropriate. I believe I do have him one spot ahead of Fannin, so I'm happy that I was able to get him there at 303. But yeah, I guess at this point too, like I kind of see like a big kind of conglomerate of running backs and receivers where maybe there's not like one guy in particular, like, this is like my guy, I have to get this player. Or it's like, I'll just kind of wait till next round to grab my highest ranked running back or receiver, just kind of the way that the draft is set up. Especially, I probably will draft running back just because like I can't not draft at least one running back in this class.
Sure, of course.
But I'm okay. I mean, if I don't draft a receiver from this class that's viewed as a weaker class than in years past, that's okay with me. To me, I look at this class and I see not like stylistically, but a lot of potential Cedric Tillmans where it's like, like this guy looks pretty good, like has this and that. And then you have him in your dynasty roster and then he does nothing, finally breaks out and then immediately gets replaced. And you're like, so that was a Cedric Tillman experience.
Exactly.
Like what did I benefit from Tillman? Like not at all. Unless I was able to unless I sold him immediately during that like 2-week Jameis Winston experience. Maybe that's something I need to learn from. It's like, hey, like once it's been 1 or 2 years, like you got to get rid of these guys. He was a roster clogger for the most part. So I think in this range, some of these receivers have the potential to be roster cloggers, which is honestly worse than, I mean, a player that I'm not really high on is Isaiah Bond. And he's actually the top of the queue here just because of the off-field issues. But the one thing that actually works in his favor is because he has this Jermaine Burton complex where, dude, you can just cut him. It's not, it's like, it's over. Like you're going to know it's over for him. Whereas, for example, someone that I think just got taken or Savion Williams, man, it's going to be such a tease. It's like, oh, now he's playing running back. Oh, now he's playing wide receiver. Oh, like, can you ever start this guy confidently? And if the answer is no, man, you're going to be pulling your hair out. So those are some things I'm kind of looking at when I'm coming to the later parts of the board. But back to your original question with Devin Neal, I think that going running back there makes a lot of sense. Again, going back to where is your running back of choice? I don't know if he would be my highest ranked running back there. I think we probably would have gone with Bhayshul, Tuten or Dylan Sampson,
Sure.
but I'm not
Dylan.
dissuading the approach of like, oh yeah, running back here, especially with most of the quarterbacks gone. So it's like, if it was between Devin Neal and Tyler Shuck, it's like, man, like maybe I'll take Tyler Shuck in round 4.
Yeah, maybe. Or apparently, according to Mel Kiper, he's going beginning round 2. So we'll see what happens with him in the NFL draft. I don't know. But Ollie Gordon's still here. Really important point that I haven't totally touched on, but I routinely get him at the 312. Here I had the opportunity to take him. I just want to see how far he would fall. And I already have 2 running backs. What are you thinking about Ollie Gordon here, Andrew, and his fall? Does he have a chance in the NFL? Are we right, or are we just missing this one here with Gordon?
So he will not be my pick. I'm not the highest on Ollie Gordon, so I went with Jordan James. And this is really just a bet on draft capital. I feel supremely confident that Jordan James is going to be drafted within the first 3 rounds. That's from a lot of what I've read and researched, just because he is one of these, to kind of make a baseball comparison, just like an innings eater, like someone that just moves the change, not the most explosive running back, but somebody that coaches like a lot. And it's like, he has a high success rate. And this is something I'm trying to, understand a little bit more when it comes to putting myself in these coaches' places, putting them in their shoes. And sometimes some coaches are just like, dude, just get 3 yards. Like, that's all I want.
Exactly.
like, I just want 3 yards. Like, I don't need you to try to rip off an 80-yard touchdown. Like, yeah, it's nice when that happens, but this is what happened with Breece Hall last year, where I was so obsessed with chasing that high of like these explosive outside runs with Breece Hall and the explosiveness, but then recognizing that when he's always trying to hit the home run, it pisses coaches off. It's like, man, like we just want 3 yards. So that's why I'm going to put Braylon Allen in the game. Jordan James, I don't know if he's going to take over a backfield, but whatever team he goes to is going to piss off the fantasy managers of the running back that's actually the starter on that team, because he's going to be so efficient. And so, hey, I get the yards that are blocked for me. Nothing extra, nothing flashy, but you need 3 yards. I got 3 yards. You need me to score a goal line touchdown? I'll score that goal line touchdown. And little by little, week by week, it's going to be like, man, Jordan James finally starting to eat into more and more carries of the starter. So that's why I went with him. Ollie Gordon, to the comment, I think is still good value here now going to the 4th round, because it's simple bet on big running back, catches passes. Like, it's the Ramondre Stevenson type of comparison. It's like, in the 4th round, oh yeah, sign me up. Like, I think that's fine. But for me, just based on my rankings, I do slightly prefer James. But let's say if James wasn't there, I think I probably would either go with Gordon or Jarquez Hunter, who also went here late in the 4th round.
Yep. I totally agree with you. A lot of these backs, here's another one, Jaden Blue, depending on your flavor, just a little bit undersized, but these guys are speedsters, and anyone here in the 4th round, maybe outside of Gordon, could really turn into someone outside of Najee Harris, like you were just describing, just 3 yards a carry to infinity and beyond. But look, if Ollie Gordon goes to the Steelers in round 3, round 4, round 5, if he's still there, and just takes that role, he might be a perfect fit. We'll see. So let's have a look here. We're going to recap the next couple of rounds. You see Savion Williams is a little bit earlier than we typically see him. Usually we see him in the 4th, sometimes undrafted. Here he went at the 308. Kyle Williams is kind of creeping up. Chris Sims, wide receiver 2 in the class, of course. Kyle Williams has that fame. He's at the 311. Restrepo for myself, we'll see. Didn't have the best combine, but the tape still looks good. So betting on that a little bit there. And then you see like Ferguson, you mentioned Shuck, you mentioned Kyle McCord at the 408, Bond with all the off-season issues and beyond. We'll see how that goes. But 3rd and 4th round, Andrew, who do you like here? Maybe give us a guy or two who you like as a supreme value later.
I really like the 309 pick of Bhayshul Tuten. I think that's a really great option there. I'm surprised he went that late. He's one of my favorite running backs in this year's class. Someone that I got the chance to talk to at the NFL Scouting Combine. And that was the first time. This was the first year that Fantasy Pros sent some of the analysts, and it was really eye opening for me. Just getting a sense of, hey, these are real people, right?
Yep.
as much as it doesn't seem like they are when we're looking at them and on the computers and in the spreadsheets, but really humble guy. And he didn't have a lot of people around his podium, and that just really stuck with me. And like, he gave me an opportunity to ask him questions, and that just, I really hope that he has success. So again, this is a game at the end of the day, and we are trying to win, but drafting players on your teams that you like, I think is something that's also important. Like, and if I could have him on my team forever on a dynasty team and he has success, that would be awesome. And I'll always remember back to like, hey, who do you compare yourself to? And he said, Saquon Barkley. It's like, and I'm going to blow up the combine. It's exactly what he did. So he's 1 for 1 on his predictions. So, Tuten would be a play there. Restrepo, so your pick. I get that people are going to knock whatever I think he's still running the 40-yard dash.
Yes, he is. Right? He hasn't finished yet.
Look, I will say, so some team that I think could take a shot on him late is actually the Patriots. And I say that because, so I don't know his exact position, but I believe it was one of the general managers scouting players that was with the Hurricanes 2022 and 2023 is now the assistant GM for the Patriots. So obviously Restrepo has been with Miami for his 4-year career, and there's an inside information with the Patriots about that. So you're looking at, hey, who could be that slot receiver for Drake May in a quote unquote Josh Downs-esque role like it was at UNC or Restrepo? I mean, it's also, hey, we got to run back the slot white wide receiver for the Patriots with Xavier or Restrepo. So I think something like along those lines, I think that he could be an option there. So I do like that pick, even though he ran a slow 40 time.
It was in the 4.8, so it was like at least 4.75.
Still running.
It's pretty bad. It's pretty bad from Restrepo, but hopefully he can turn it around. Torrey Horton went right after him. I do like Horton. I think the concerns are valid in terms of the level of competition that he faced. He did go off, I think, against Travis Hunter, or maybe it was against Hunter's team when he was injured. I forget the exact narrative there. Torrey Horton still a bit of a gamble, but he is climbing up boards. Previously undrafted in these rookie drafts, he's been consistently going in the 4th and now almost creeping into the 3rd. So interesting name there. LaQuint Allen, hard to argue with these hyper athletic guys. As you see them all littered across the 4th round. And then Terrence Ferguson is an interesting name as well. He's someone who I've seen more and more as people's tight end 3. Gunnar Helm in a tight end premium league is a guy who hasn't been drafted consistently, but he did show his ankle the size of a grapefruit during the NFL Combine, which can account for some of his numbers as well. So you see the board here. You can also see as I scroll through just a couple of guys who weren't drafted. Andrew, how about this? Anyone here, as I'm taking it slowly, who you think deserves to be drafted in our rookie drafts here?
I don't think so. I think that the board has done a good job of sniffing out the most likely candidates. I do like Ty Felton a little bit as a potential guy that could sneak into day 2.
Sure.
I think a lot of the guys are going to get sniffed out by draft capital in general. So, some of these receivers, running backs that were taken that end up going undrafted will be replaced by the guys that end up getting drafted. Although we're going to get the occasional, hey, there's a guy that no one thought was going to get drafted, randomly gets drafted at the end of round 3. And it's like, wait, dude, are we going to chase the draft capital? Or are we going to be like, wait, no, this guy should not have been drafted. Let's take a step back in the classic. Like, who was the guy? When the 49ers drafted like Tyrion Davis-Price, right? It's like, we were all like, it's like this guy was super ranked low by every fantasy analyst. It's like, wait, and they took him in the 3rd round. But because he went to the 49ers, it was like, oh man, like this is going to work out. Or like when the Patriots drafted Tyquan Thornton, it's like, dude, that guy was a bust before he even stepped foot. I feel so bad. Like, because again,
it's round 2, right? Round 2.
Dude, I feel so bad saying like again, he's a real person, real player. Like he's on the Patriots. Like I wish him nothing but success. But like this guy was like projected to be a 5th round pick just because he ran a fast 40-yard dash, and the Patriots drafted him in the round 2. It's like, dude, like you're putting expectations on this guy for him to never succeed. and we all kind of knew it like right as it came in. It's like, well, that was a blown pick. Like, and he didn't even get a chance really to do anything. So I think that, draft capital probably sniff things out. At quarterbacks, Ewers, Howard, Gabriel, I mean, I don't think that you can go wrong again just taking a shot on a quarterback, especially in the 4th round where, I mean, Taj Brooks, Jaden Blue, Jarquez, like, do these guys get drafted? I mean, if they're round 6 picks and Quinn Ewers gets drafted in round 3 to a team like the Rams or something like that, then that's going to put Ewers ahead of some of these running backs. So again, just drafting players. I think sometimes we get too attached to the profiles of players when we should be looking more at the value accumulation of what we can see from this archetype of player heading into the next season. And what do we see the most types of that is quarterbacks, right? Quarterbacks get hurt, play a little bit, especially in Superflex, their currency. So I think a lesson to learn is when in doubt, just draft a quarterback. Like, I really don't think that it's going to nuke your team versus Jarquez Hunter, Taj Brooks, Jaden Blue. I mean, these guys may not even be on a roster next year. So,
and you mentioned Joe Milton as well. I mean, you had a 2-week window in the season. You even had a 2-week window in this offseason where you could have shipped off Joe Milton, probably easily got a 3rd-round rookie pick and just been done with it. But yeah, Joe Milton, interesting case. But these quarterbacks retain their value, like you said. And then, of course, you were talking about Tyquan Thornton. Was that also the Cole Strange out of nowhere draft? Did they go Cole Strange, Tyquan Thornton 1-2? Because if that's the case, you could just throw that draft right in the garbage. But, the Patriots have been making interesting picks for years. Hopefully they get it right. We'll see what they end up with this offseason in a couple of days. Last question here for you, Andrew, just in terms of the board in general. Let's remove our 2 teams and let's look at what some of the other guys did. Is there any draft or 2 here from one of the guys in the mock that you feel they got a lot of really good value, or they got a player or 2 that I really love? Whose draft did you really like?
All right, so let's go down the board here. So removing ours. So Chaos 1434 drafted all running backs.
Yes,
which
I love it.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I love that because the chances of him hitting on at least 2 of those guys, I think is really good. So honestly, I love that strategy. In this year's class, give me all running backs. Just gobble them up. Don't care, especially if you don't need to draft a quarterback or a tight end. I love that type of strategy there with Hampton, Scadabo, Sampson, and ETN. I really like that. So although they go by the name of Chaos, I think that this is strategic chaos that they're following.
Yes.
So
Controlled chaos. Even.
I noticed in the chat, Jamie Prague thinks that Scadabo will be a bust. I think that is very much in the range of outcomes with him because he, again, going back to the NFL scouting combine, he gives off some of that, a little bit of a diva mantra, which is weird for a running back. And that fact that he's someone that needs a lot of touches. So he really needs to be in a situation where the coaching staff loves him. And it's like, we want to feed this guy. We want to feature this guy. Like Ezekiel Elliott, like gobble up the touches type of mindset. Right. But if he is like complaining, blah, 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 like that's not going to work. So I think it's less about ability with Scadabo and more about like his mindset, because even something he said was the coaching staff really dogged him about like, you got to get in shape, dude. Like, and that is reflective in why he's not fast, like why he doesn't have straight line speed, because that requires practice and repetition and trying to get for it and teach their own. Like football players, I think would rather spend their time trying to be good at football. I don't think that that's a hot take, but at the same time, this is part of the test. Like you need to be fast. Like you need to get better at your straight line speed, even though like you're not a 1st round pick. Like you don't have the Ashton Genty numbers to say, well, I don't have to run the 40. It's like, dude, like, no, you do. Or you got to at least run, like you got to get under 4.7 or whatever he did. And I know he ended up running like a 4.65. So not the death nail quite, but not exactly a ring endorsement of how high he'll go in the NFL draft. So I think draft capital will be pretty telling with Scadabo. Because he could rise a lot. Because his peripheral number, he's a fun guy to watch. Like just a freaking truck. And he's someone that wants to impose pain to defenders, which a lot of coaches like. But then you have to also ask yourself, what's the shelf? Like, is Scadabo going to be like Peyton Hillis, where he's on Madden for 1 year and then we just never see him ever again?
It could. Yeah.
Like maybe that's his career. And honestly, like for fantasy, he'll probably be fun for 1 or 2 years and it's great. But then after that, well, he nosedives. So Scotabo is very polarizing, but I really like Dylan Sampson, even though he's a bit of an undersized running back. I think that he's really fun to watch in open space.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one of the drafts I really liked. Looking at the rest of the teams here, I would say the other one I really like too is probably Jay Moeller 05. Again, I talked about Tuten, get him at 309. Yep. That's a great pick. Going quarterback, Start and Milrow. I mean, are they both going to be bust? I mean, I would be very surprised if
they could be.
That is true, but playing the odds game, chances are one of them is going to accrue in value. So,
agree.
Is one of those players worth more than the 109 that you drafted Jackson Dart with next year?
Yeah.
I think that's an interesting proposition. I mean, you're talking about guys that are invited to the NFL draft. Those guys are both going to be there. I mean, that's the NFL telling, hey, maybe they're not round 1 picks, but expected to go end of round 1 or early in round 2. The NFL doesn't necessarily want to invite a bunch of players that don't get drafted, even though there was a report earlier this year from Jordan Schultz that said the NFL is going to come back. They're only going to draft 7 to 10 guys because they don't want people getting not drafted. And then they draft like 18 players. They just can't resist themselves.
Crazy.
So I do like that one from a strategic standpoint. And I think Miller was good in fantasy too. And like I talked about, and look, Isaiah Bond, I think he's going to be a bust, but 409 for a guy that
why not?
Can fly. And going back to the original point about Bond is we're going to know. Like this isn't the Cedric Tillman thing where like he's stuck on your roster. That's why last year, yes, Jermaine Burton, did it work out? No. But you don't have to hold on for hope that it's going to work out. Like it's clearly not going to work out for Jermaine Burton. So you can cut bait, move on, and use that roster spot for something else. Like roster space in Dynasty is underrated, right? We don't talk about it enough, but again, we're all excited for these rookie drafts that are coming up next week. Break out I always think about the Joker meme, right? From The Dark Knight when he breaks out the pool sticks. Like, all right, tryouts. Like that's how I feel when I'm trying to cut guys for my Dynasty team. Like, all right, who's going to get cut for these rookies that are coming in? Jermaine Burton is on that list, and he's going to be cut. So Isaiah Bond, could he be this year's Jermaine Burton? Very much so, especially because they both were Alabama guys at one point. But having concrete information is sometimes better than holding on to hope for multiple years when you just end up cutting him. I'd rather cut the guy after year 1 than cut the guy after year 3. So Isaiah Bond at 407 is or 409, I think is the best way to draft a player like him.
Yep. I love all of that. With Cam Scatabo, you mentioned him earlier. The thing with Scatabo, which is interesting too, is he can catch. Like some of the most impressive things I've seen is him running wheel routes and just like going deep downfield and like mossing guys at like 40 yards downfield. So if that guy can lose some weight and get it together, I agree with you. And Dylan Sampson, Chaos's draft was great. Dylan Sampson, one of the better inside runners in this draft. I think he's going to be a value for whoever gets him, especially if he goes in the 3rd round. For myself, I really like the 107. I just think Trey Henderson is a great value. You get Royals there. I think maybe a little early on Royals, probably would have went Noel there, but still an interesting prospect. You got Jack Besh, who dominated the Senior Bowl, and I think he's just going to be kind of an underrated wide receiver who likely plays a slot. Like you said, a team could fall in love with some of these guys and absolutely feature them. And then Shuck in the 4th round, why not? But right next to him at the 106, you got Tet, you got Trey, you got DJ Giddens, who we all love his athleticism, and then Terrence Ferguson. I like those drafts in the middle here as well, based on the value that these guys got. Andrew, I can't let you go here without talking to us about Jalen Noel, especially maybe as compared to Jaden Higgins. And then you could also maybe look at these wide receivers here who went before him: Trey Harris, Jalen Royals, Alec Amador. How do you feel about Noel? Profess your love here, but especially related to Higgins, because I think this is an interesting conversation in the mid to late 2nd round.
Yeah, they're very different wide receivers, where you have Higgins kind of that more of that prototypical X on the outside, big bodied receiver, versus Noel, who is this like souped up slot receiver that can go vertical. And I've always liked those guys. Always gravitated towards those types of players, and I think in the way that fantasy is played now and the way the NFL is going, like, there's such a value to being used inside and being used as a vertical threat. So I like Noel a lot. I mean, all the film guys. I mean, that's why I featured that part in my article about there are two types of people that love Jalen Noel and people that are liars.
Yeah.
And it's because everyone that I talk to, especially like Derek Brown, is obviously the one that kind of got me first onto Noel because he wouldn't stop talking about this guy.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, like clearly you like this guy. And it's just, that's like the reoccurring theme that I've heard a lot from more advanced film scouts. When I watched him, I was really impressed by him as well. He kind of reminded me of Golden Tate to an extent. I really liked his rocked up body, even though he didn't necessarily like flash a lot in yards after the catch. I thought that he was really, really good and someone that an NFL team is going to like and do what is asked of him. And I mean, 211, I think that's way too late, where I could see more of these Higgins, Harris's, Alec Amanors,
Eric A.
Eric A. Exactly. Eric A. These guys have more of the potential to totally like flame out. Again, going back to the Cedric Tillmans, right?
Yes. Yeah.
I keep hating to mention Cedric Tillman, but it just, he was just someone that like I stared at my dynasty roster the entire offseason. Like, do I cut this guy? What do I do with this guy? And I remember I actually did drop him, and then of course he blows up, and I'm like spend on my fab to get him back because I have to have him on my team, and then now he's getting replaced by Travis Hunter. It's just like, it was an exhausting exercise, and I'm trying to avoid that. So maybe I see more of that with Higgins, Harris, Eric A, as we're now calling him, Manor. I got it that time. Yeah. So Jalen Noel for me, very good slot receiver, vertical threat, and that's why I like him.
Yeah, and we'll see the ADP normalize here on Sleeper. I think he's a bit buried still, simply because he was a bit of a late riser. After the NFL draft, everything is going to change from the mid to late second on, I'd say. So we'll see exactly how these guys end up. But this is what we're looking at right now, pre-NFL draft. Andrew Erickson, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate you on the show today. Thank you, everybody, for watching us. We are Adjust the Ranks. Just a quick bit of advertisement from ourselves. Of course, we have a new Discord that is in the YouTube chat, so please jump in. Otherwise, you can just DM us at Fantasy Football Universe. Just come on in, talk ball with a bunch of us. We're excited to do that. We also have NFL draft show coming on. Some of our guys are going to be going live. And then, of course, immediately after the NFL draft, the entire FFU team is going to get on this show and do a rookie draft. We'll tell you exactly what we're looking at in terms of immediate post-draft reactions. And we know a few of you, more than a few of you, have your rookie drafts in the next couple of weeks here. So hoping to get you ready. That's us. But this guy, Andrew Erickson, is going to get you ready for the draft. Got a ton of content. You already know where it is, but Andrew, why don't you tell them anyway?
Yeah, it's over at fantasypros.com. We're going to be covering the draft live Thursday and Friday night. Myself, Derek Brown, Pat Fitzmaurice, Joey P, all the guys you've come to love, all the guys and girls you've come to love at Fantasy Pros. We are going to be live. I'm going to be on pre-show, so pre-draft, talking some NFL bets. And then I'll be behind the scenes updating rankings as we go pick by pick, probably being in our Fantasy Pros Discord, be on X, Blue Sky, reacting to whoever the Patriots drafted for. And I'm getting this feeling that I'm just not going to like it.
I know.
I don't know. I feel like when we look back at this draft in the top 5 picks, the Patriots are going to have the worst guy. And that's not necessarily their fault. They are picking, they are picking 4th.
Yeah.
So they are already picking technically the 4th ranked player, but I don't know. The amount of confidence I have in James Gladstone versus Elliott Wolf. James Gladstone seems like he's been in the lab at Silicon Valley, just like brewing knowledge about how to be a GM. And Elliott Wolf is out here trading down to get out of the Lad McConkey business to draft Polk and Baker. Bust.
Crazy.
And then the Joel Milton thing where it's like, man, we capitalized and then we got a 5th round pick. It's like
just gave him away. Why not?
I was just like, man, like really? Like that's all you can get? We're talking about Tyler Shuck in round one, like, and Joe Milton's a 5th round pick. Like, come on, dude. Like, you should at least hold your ground a little bit more. Don't just like,
or, you know,
immediately like, let's profit. Yes, I think that's mostly good process. Like, you can never go broke making a profit, but is it really worth it to make like 5 cents? I think maybe you just want to wait a little bit longer before you sell. Like, I mean, we never sell. I mean, that's the mantra. Like, we're going to the moon, never sell.
Exactly. Or just keep the guy. You know what I mean? Like, why not? Just hang on to him, and you know what? You'll get a 5th round pick next year. Like, I don't really
exactly right.
the
Exactly.
thought
What's the worst
process.
thing people talking about is like alpha energy. It's like, really? Like, are we really at this point where like we can't control like this alpha backup quarterback from? And I like too, like they're talking about, we wanted to trade him to a place where he could really grow and develop. It's like, so you're trading to a team that said that we're going to grow and develop Trey Lance, like, and that's the team you trade him to. Like, I mean, I hope Milrow gets a chance. Like, Dak gets hurt a lot, so
agree.
It would be cool to see him playing in Dallas with CeeDee Lamb, and I can only imagine now what CeeDee Lamb's going to say about his arm. Be like, man, Jalen Milrow's got a better arm than Dak.
Jesus. We'll see how it goes. Look, only a couple of days away from the NFL draft, so cannot wait for that. Andrew, thank you so much. Really appreciate you joining us here. Fantasy Pros team has been awesome. We've had Debro, we've had Pat Fitzmaurice, and now Andrew. You guys have been awesome to us, so we really appreciate you coming on. So we'll end it there. Thanks a lot, and we'll see you guys next time. Thanks for joining.
From the entire Channel 4 News team, I'm Veronica Corningstone.
And I'm Ron Burgundy. Go
Rank
yourself, San Diego.